Hello, I'm Susan, and this is a comeback yoga class. So, gentle yoga and meditation class. We'll do about 30 minutes of stretching and moving around, and then we'll do about 20 minutes of rest and meditation at the end of class. If you have a pillow or a cushion or a blanket, you can have those handy. And I'm set up on a mat. You can use a mat if you like. And I'll encourage you, if you are a longtime yoga practitioner or if you're just getting started or somewhere in between, I'll invite you to take to heart the idea that this is really a unique practice, unique to you, and to make a promise to yourself to take care of yourself and to practice with the spirit of gentleness and kindness and compassion towards your body and towards your feelings and your sensations, and to acknowledge that your practice is just about you. It's about your connection to your mind and your body and encouraging the communication between the two. Let's start seated with our hands, the tops of our knees, and let your fingers stretch out and press your palms down and lengthen your spine a little bit and feel the length of your side bodies, the length of your arms. Take progressively deeper and softer breaths into your nose or your mouth, depending on how you're breathing, and progressively longer and softer exhales. Progressively means to me that it takes a little while. You don't start out with your longest inhale, your longest exhale. You ease into your breath. You ease into encouraging your breath. Keep extending your fingers. Keep lengthening your arms and lifting your rib cage with your long arms and the strength of your arms, the support of your arms. Keep lengthening your inhales and lengthening your exhales until you feel like you've reached the soft limit of your comfort zone. You're still breathing as comfortably as possible, but you're expanding your breath into that range. As you're inhaling, you just keep on inhaling. Maybe let your elbows wing out to the sides a little bit, lift a little bit, feel more space between your ribs. And exhale, when you're exhaling, you sink a little bit. Now let's start to exaggerate the movement of inhales and exhales. Like your arms come out to the sides, stretch them out to about shoulder height, and exhale, let your fingertips come down towards the floor, and you can tuck your chin and curl your spine a little bit. Inhale to stretch out. So you're expanding and contracting with the rhythm of your breath, and you're inhaling to lift and exhaling to press your fingers down. Find your fingertips and press them down into whatever surface is next to you. Feel the connection between each one of your fingers, left side and your right side. Inhaling to stretch up. And then maybe bring your arms up to a little bit overhead, maybe out into the upper half of an X with your arms. Exhale and let your arms come down and plant your fingertips into the space beside you. Press down, feel each one of your fingertips. Like you could lift yourself up a little bit with your fingers pressing down. Inhale to lift out and up, come into the upper half of an X, stretch your palms, stretch your fingers. Exhale and let your hands come down. Press your hands down, fingertips down into the floor. Press down, feel the length and the strength of your arms. We'll do one more inhale into the upper half of an X, stretch up. Then this time bring your elbows out to cactus. Stretch across your chest. Touch your thumbs and your ring fingers together and roll through your wrists a couple times. Notice the connection between your thumbs and your ring fingers and keep breathing, encouraging your breath to be long. Your inhales are long, your exhales are long. They're full and complete. Release the connection of your fingers. Let your forearms come towards each other. Invite your forearms to come towards each other, your elbows, outside edges, pinky edges of your hands. Inhale to open up and stretch across your chest. Now turn your palms out to the sides and exhale and bring your forearms towards each other. This time, touch your palms together and let your elbows come closer towards each other. They might touch, but they don't have to. Inhale to open up and lift your chest. Bring your elbows out to T, lift your gaze. Exhale, bring your forearms towards each other, tuck your chin, and curl your spine. Inhale to open up your elbows out to the sides. Exhale and let your fingertips come down to the mat, to the floor, and press down your fingertips and lighten your hips a little bit. You're pressing down with your arms to lift your hips just slightly. You're lightening up. Exhaling and softening up, taking your hands away from your mat and roll through your fingers and your wrists. Take your right palm up and stretch your fingers down. So I'm taking the left hand and just pressing down onto my fingers, my right fingers, and maybe kind of slide your left hand across your palm and press down softly to stretch your right hand's fingers. Then turn your left palm up and take your right hand, slide it across your palm down toward your fingers and press down, stretching out your wrist and your fingers, making connections between your left hand and your right hand. Noticing sensation, noticing your breath. Then release both of your hands and roll through your wrists and move through your fingers. Take both hands over towards the left side of your mat and let your fingertips touch the mat and let your fingertips kind of play the piano a little bit on your mat. And then press your fingertips down, lengthen your arms, and turn your torso any amount. Untwist, take your left forearm down to the mat. Your right sit bone might pop up a little bit. And take your right hand to your right hip and encourage stretch along the right side of your body. Straightening into your left arm and pushing your torso back up through seated. Inhale, take your arms out to T, stretch across your chest. Exhale to bring your arms forward, tuck your chin and curl your spine. Inhale and bring your arms into the upper half of an X. Stretch up through your sides and through your fingers. Exhale and let your arms come down. Your left hand comes over towards your right knee and your right hand comes around. You can turn and look. And take your right arm down, right forearm down. Your left sit bone might pop up a little bit. Your left arm comes around behind you. You can turn and look past your left shoulder, or your left hand could come to your left thigh, your left knee. Helps make a stretch through the left side of your body. See if you can breathe a little more deeply into your left side of your body and notice each one of your ribs as they stretch out in this particular position. Start to press down into your right hand and lift yourself back up. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And cross your arms across your chest, your left elbow's underneath your right elbow. Hold your opposite shoulders and take a circle with your torso. Move your torso over towards the right. Cross in front. Move your torso over towards the left and sit up. Now take your hands and slide your hands towards each other. Rub your hands together. Bring your hands to the tops of your shoulders. Settle your shoulders down. And then take your right elbow underneath your left. Hold your opposite shoulders and take a circle around with your torso. Left and forward and right. And slide your hands to your opposite elbows. Slide your fingers across your forearms and notice the skin of your forearms. Slide your palms in circles around each other. And take your left palm on top of your right palm. Press your hands down, left hand down and right hand up. So your hands are pressing together, activating all sorts of things. Perhaps you might feel this in your shoulders or in your chest. And start to tilt your left elbow down towards your left thigh and maybe touch your elbow to your thigh and turn your gaze past your right elbow. Inhale to lift yourself up and switch your hands now. So your right hand's on top and your left hand's on the bottom. Your left hand is pressing up. Your right hand is pressing down. Press them together and then tilt. Your right elbow comes down, your left elbow comes up, and you can turn your gaze past your left elbow. Keep pressing your hands together as you inhale to lift your torso up. And slide your hands around each other, rub your hands together. Interlace your fingers and push your palms up towards the ceiling and stretch out through your sides. Big soft inhale breath. Keep inhaling and exhale. Exhale all the way down. Your fingertips come down to the floor beside you. Press your fingertips into the floor. Centers of your palms are up. Press down and try lifting your hips just a little bit. Your hips aren't really going to come up off the floor, but you're straightening your arms, using strength of your fingers, the lift of your chest, and then soften up. Sitting back down, roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Stick your left leg out to the side, out in front of you. Your right knee comes out to the side. And first, pick up your right knee and bring your right thigh in towards your chest. You can hold on with both of your arms. You might stick your right foot further forward, depends on how comfortable that is, to bring your thigh close toward you or a little bit further away. And experiment a little bit. Bring your leg forward and back and see where the best spot for your leg is. And that is the spot where you can maintain comfortable breath, your full inhales and your full exhales. Start to lean back a little bit. Keep your fingers interlaced around your front leg, and it might be quite close to you. And lean back until your arms are straight. You might lean back quite far, or you might be close in. Stretch and breathe and breathe. And pull your torso back towards your thigh. And take a twist. Your left hand comes underneath your right leg and snug it in towards your center. Put the back of your right hand on your hip and slide it around and notice the sensation that you feel. Maybe you're feeling in your fingers, the back of your hand. You might feel in your arm or around your low back on your hips as you turn and look past your right shoulder. Untwist. Stick your right leg out in front of you. Press down into your heels and roll through your feet. And take your hands up towards your forehead and maybe smooth your forehead out and put your hands on the top of your head and slide your hands to the back of your head. Interlace your fingers at the back of your head and put your thumbs at the base of your occipital shelf. That's a little spot where your skull moves in towards your neck. So you can feel perhaps that bump at the back of your head. Lift a little bit more, press down into your heels and lift your knees and lean back so you have a encouragement for the natural curves of your spine, your neck curving and your upper back curving and your low back curving and your tailbone curving. And soften up. Bring your arms down and then you're bringing your left knee in toward your chest. And you can interlace your fingers or wrap your arms around your leg and bring your torso toward your thigh. And you can put your arms really anywhere, doesn't matter. And you might notice that it's better for you to have your leg longer or more bent. It's just up to you. Start to lengthen your arms. However, your hands might be behind your knee or in front of your shin. Start to lengthen your arms and lean back and see if you can lengthen your spine. So your hips, your rib cage, and your head, they're all in one line, encouraging the natural curves of your spine. And start to come forward a little bit and wrap your right arm underneath your left leg and snug your leg in towards center. You're taking the back of your left hand and bring it anywhere along this expanse of the space between your right hip and your left hip and your left hip and your right hip. And slide yourself around and let your hand come across maybe your low back. It might reach the outside of your right hip. It doesn't matter where it goes, but connect your arm to your body and notice sensation of each one of your hands and notice sensation of length in your spine and notice if you can encourage your breath to be long and expansive. Your inhales and your exhales, both lengthening as you stretch and turn. Let's give ourselves one more inhale and exhale. Breathe deep into your body. You inhale to lengthen and you exhale to release the muscles in your back a little bit. Let yourself be supported by the strength of your arms. Your back doesn't have to work so much. Your arms are supporting you. Let's untwist and put your hands at the backs of your knees. Pop your knees up both and then wrap your arms underneath your legs and bring your torso toward your thighs. You can bring your chin down towards the space of your knees. Inhale to lift up. Now cross your legs underneath you and come onto your belly. And come onto your forearms. We're coming into Sphinx pose. Sphinx pose looks like the Sphinx. You are propped up like a lion on your forearms, and you're spreading your fingers wide and lifting your chest into back bend. And if this feels like you want a little more space, you can walk your feet out a little bit wider. You could also bring your arms more forward. That is an option. There's no right way to do Sphinx pose, except there's a right way for you. So if your arms are all the way out in front of you, see, this is still Sphinx pose. Or if your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, that is also Sphinx pose, and you have that range in between those two variants. Encourage stretch in the front side of your body, especially the fronts of your hips, the front of your belly. Are you still encouraging your deep, soft, long breaths? Keep encouraging long inhales and long exhales. Can you stretch them out just a little bit more? Encourage your breath in your body. Now take your left forearm across the short edge of the mat. Bring your torso down. Bend up your right knee. Bring your heel up toward your hip and reach your right hand back and see if your hand and your foot connect. They might, they don't have to. But if they do, you can walk your fingers up towards the top of your toes, bend your elbow up, and encourage your heel to come a little closer towards your hip. That is a thing that you might do. You could also be reaching your hand for your foot. Maybe they don't want to connect, and you don't have to make your body do anything. You're just seeing what happens. Keep breathing, keep stretching, and release your grip. If you've got one, your right leg comes back down, and put one hand on top of the other underneath your forehead or underneath your chin, and see if you can wiggle your hips a little bit and wiggle your feet a little bit, and allow your body to sink into your space, sink into your mat a little bit. Notice how it feels to breathe when you're on your belly, and encourage your breath to be even longer. Longer inhales, longer exhales. What happens if you listen to your heartbeat a little bit more? What happens if you angle your feet a little bit differently? Can you give yourself more support? Start to bring yourself back up into Sphinx pose. Your elbows are underneath your body. Your palms might be down. Now, this might not feel like enough stretch for you, and if it doesn't, you can place your palms on the edges, the front of your mat. You can lift your elbows and stretch into seal pose. Or maybe it feels like too much with your elbows down. You could try walking your elbows out to the side more, or bringing your arms long forward more. You could make those fingertips on the floor, centers of your palms up into your hands, and you could point your toes. Either way, if you've come into this variation, whatever variation you're in of the back bend, you can start to lower yourself back down. Put your right hand, right forearm across the short edge of your mat. Reach your left hand back and bend up your left knee. Bring your heel toward your hip and see if your hand and your foot connect. They might, they don't have to, but if they do, you can walk your fingers up toward your toes, bend your elbow up, and then encourage your heel to come a little closer toward your hip. Your knee has to agree, and your hip has to agree. Everything has to agree. One veto vote means that you change something. Give yourself lots of support, stretching out. This is half frog pose. I like the poses named after animals. And then release your grip if you've got one, and let your leg come back down, all the way down. Stretch yourself up into Sphinx pose one last time. This time, prop yourself up onto your forearms and then interlace your fingers, tuck your bottom pinky under. Walk your toes onto the mat and wiggle your knees towards each other. Now press down into your forearms and lift your belly away from the mat a little bit. And keep your head in line with the rest of your spine and breathe. Engage your belly and feel the length of your low back. Perhaps you might feel squeeze in your glutes a little. You might feel your toes. You might notice all the parts of your body that are touching the mat. And then let yourself soften up and lean back down. And we'll do that again, but you can change it a little. You can press down into your forearms, tuck your tailbone under, and maybe come up onto your knees. Maybe. Keep breathing. Notice, like my breath is working a little bit harder now. Breathe and breathe. It's fine for your breath to work a little bit harder. You're always staying in your comfortable range of motion. And start to let your hips come down and rest a little bit. Let's try one more variation. This is forearm plank, of course. You're pressing down into your forearms, tucking your tailbone under. Maybe you just lift your belly away from the mat. Maybe you lift your hips away from the mat. Maybe you lift your knees away from the mat. And now breathe. Breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe. And let your knees come back down with control. Lower your hips back down. Lower your belly back down. Unlace your fingers and turn your palms up and notice if you were really squeezing your hands hard, and roll through your fingers, roll through your wrists. Bring your hands back by your chest, tuck your toes under, squeeze your glutes a little, push yourself up onto your knees, pull your hips back, and come into resting position. So we just did quite a lot of back bend, and we're going to give ourselves the compliment, the opposite. This is the position that your body might recognize. As you come into this position, you might notice if it evokes any sensation that seems familiar. You might notice if it's easier or perhaps more difficult to encourage long inhales and long exhales. And if it seems either way, just take note of that. Start to bring yourself up onto your knees. Walk your hands forward a little. Tuck your toes under and straighten your legs and come into downward facing dog. It looks like a triangle in your body. Your head's in line with the rest of your arms and the rest of your spine, and try stretching your fingers out a little wider and pressing your fingertips into your mat, and spreading your fingers wide helps take a little bit of weight off the heels of your hands. You can lift and lower your heels, roll your head around. Explore your space. You're expanding out into the shape of downward facing dog. And slowly let your knees come back down towards the mat. Roll through cat and cow a couple times, tucking under, lifting and lowering your spine. Walk your knees towards each other a little bit. Press down into your left leg and stretch your right leg back behind you. Bring your right heel up towards your right hip and lift your thigh a little. Then curl your knee underneath you, bring your nose toward your knee. And glide back into tiger stretch, lifting your thigh. Your heel comes toward your hip. Try taking your opposite arm, reach back and see if your hand and your foot connect. For me, this is a pretty big balance challenge. See how you do. Release your grip, both hands back down. If your hand was back behind you, curl under, your knee towards your nose towards your knee. And then bring your right knee even more forward and stretch your leg long back behind you, your left leg. We're rolling down into pigeon pose. And you can Take both forearms down onto your mat and rock a little bit side to side. Now, if this seems unreasonable to your body, change it. You might try laying on your back instead. This is a really great way to change a position and to give yourself more ease. So you might be lying on your back with your right knee. We're doing the pigeon on the right leg. So you might be lying on your back with your right knee in, or you might be facing down with your right knee forward and your left leg back behind you. One's not better than the other. You're just finding the way that's best for you. Notice your breath here. Deepen this connection between your mind and your body. Give yourself permission to do what's right for you, to encourage your comfort and your ease and your well-being in everything that you do in class, everything that you do in yoga. It's working towards your greater ease. Long, slow exhales and long, slow inhales. Give you more oxygen, more ease. However you are in your pigeon, bring yourself back into table. Your hips move back toward your heels. Stretch out your low back. Inhale to lift up. Walk your hands forward. Lean into upward facing dog. And then glide back into downward facing dog. You're tucking your toes under. Now, this is downward facing dog with your arms outstretched, your shins on the floor, your hips, your shoulders, your head, and your hands. They're all in one line. Exact same thing if you're on straight legs. Your hips, your shoulders, your head, and your hands are all in one long line. So from your downward facing dog, start to let your knees come back down towards the mat. Shift your weight onto your right knee and take your left leg back into tiger stretch. So your left knee bends, sole of your foot is like pressing up as if you were going to put your footprint on the ceiling. Then curl under. Bring your nose toward your knee and your knee toward your nose. And slide back into your tiger stretch, lifting your left thigh. Try shifting a little bit and reaching your right hand back toward your left foot. And keep lots of length in your low back. Slightly tuck your tailbone. If your hand and your foot don't connect, it's fine. They can just reach towards each other. There's no rule about connecting. Just breathe. Release your grip if you had one. Curl your left knee underneath you and stick your right leg back behind you. We're coming into pigeon on this side. And you can bring your forearms down onto your mat. You can rock a little bit from side to side. Now again, it's your left leg in the pigeon, the crossed and the rotation. So it doesn't matter if you're facing down or facing up in pigeon. You could also be lying on your back, holding onto your leg like this. And you might be doing something different on this side than you did on the other side. And that's fine. Keep breathing in your pigeon. Keep allowing yourself to stretch out and encourage your inhales and your exhales to be just a little bit longer. Let them stretch out a little bit more. Maybe you notice that in this position, it's more comfortable to breathe deeply on the exhales. Maybe in pigeon, you have a different relationship with your breath. Notice that and observe that. Give yourself one more soft inhale and soft exhale in your pigeon. And whether you're facing down or facing up, maybe you're facing down on your belly or maybe you're lying on your back. Either way, bring yourself back up through table. Both of your knees firm on the mat. Move through cat and cow, tucking your tailbone under and lifting your tailbone. Pulling up and in at your belly, your head could drop down. When your belly drops down, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze. Bring your torso to neutral, wiggle your hips a little left and right. Then walk your knees apart a little and let your hips move back in the direction of your heels. They don't have to come all the way back towards your heels. And if you don't like leaning over like that, you could also be sitting up. But either way, you're encouraging stretch in this whole area of your body, the back side of your body. Give yourself a little more opportunity to stretch. You can rock a little bit from side to side. Breathe softly. And stretch your arms long out in front of you. You can take your fingers and walk them along your mat and drag your sides and your spine and the back of your neck just a little bit longer. You can let your forehead come down towards the mat. Breathe deep. Maybe you walk your knees apart a little bit to make more space for your belly to move when you inhale and exhale. Start to walk your hands back toward your knees and lift yourself up to seated. Move through your head and your neck. And stick your legs out in front of you. And now is a good time to find your blanket or your pillow. If you have one, if you want to use one, you can. And as you start to lay back, start to notice if this feels comfortable to you. Maybe you want to lay on your back with your eyes open, gazing at the ceiling. Maybe you'd prefer to lay on your side. Maybe you'd like to close your eyes. Those are all options available to you. There's no wrong way to place yourself. There's only right ways to place yourself, ways that you want to place your body. So start to bring yourself into your favorite resting position and become aware of things like your own comfort, your own ease. Start to breathe deeply. And this is our meditation portion of the class. And you are welcome to use this simply for rest, or you can follow along with me with meditation practice. You can do exactly as you like. There is no possible way to get any of this wrong. You're fostering your well-being by resting. You might also be doing this meditation practice with me. You're welcome to do it just exactly as you want. So as you breathe, invite your mind to consider and your belly to consider and to think of your heart's desire. What is your deep wish? Maybe it's not exactly heart's desire. Maybe it's a goal that you have, a strong goal or conviction, something that you'd like to foster in you. It could be a strength or a quality that you'd like to attract or increase. It could be something physical, it could be something mental, it could be something material or immaterial. It's what's important is that it's uniquely yours and it's meaningful to you. And imagine that you have it already. And maybe you do have it already. And just considering that you have it already, it gives you the sensation of having it. What does that sensation feel like? Can you feel in your body what it would feel like to have your heart's desire? And see if you can give that sensation to yourself. It might feel like warmth, like putting on a warm coat. It might feel like the opposite, it might be like shedding a coat that's become too heavy and too warm. And just like we did when our movement practice, give yourself an intention for this rest. Maybe it's to stay really present or to give yourself the opportunity for rest. It's just different than your heart's desire. This is your intention for your practice, for your right here, right now. Now, guided by your heart's desire and your intention, consider a place or a time or a situation where you felt completely supported, completely secure. Perhaps you felt proud or you felt accomplished or happy. This might be a memory of a time in your past, or it might be a place that you've been. And during our practice, this is a place that you can come back to, a place that you can rest in. And start to draw a clearer, sharper picture of this place, this secure place that you have internally inside of you. What are the smells? Does it smell like cookies? Does it smell like spring? Does it smell like the ocean? What are the textures? Is there sand under your feet? Is it warm? Is there shade? Keep adding richer details to this own unique place that you have inside of yourself. And rest there for a little while. And you can stay there the whole rest of the time that we're practicing, if you wish. And you can come back to this place anytime during the time that we're practicing together. Start to give yourself a little bit more physical comfort. Maybe you've been laying in this position for a little while now, and maybe you'd like to move around a little bit. Maybe you'd like to shift your position. You can stay exactly as you are. Just gonna sit up. You can also sit up if you want to anytime, but keep Keep encouraging your practice. Start to become aware of different parts of your body. Notice your feet, your legs. Notice your knees and your thighs. Observe and notice the base of your body, your hips. Take soft breaths in and out, and notice your torso expanding and contracting with each breath. Move your awareness up toward your shoulders and down your arms, noticing your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers. Moving your awareness up through your neck, your head, and your face. Take soft and deep inhales and exhales, and welcome in any sensation that you notice coming in through the senses of your body, your physical self. Feel the weight of your body, your head, your torso, your arms, and your legs. And become more aware of your breath. Deepen and soften your inhales and your exhales. While you're noticing your breath, start to pay attention to your emotions. Remembering that anytime you start to feel an emotion that might seem uncomfortable or difficult, you always have the option to go to a place that we've been before in practice. You could go back to the place where you're secure, which we did previously in our practice. You could go back to sensing parts of your body. So you start to feel like there's an emotion that you're noticing. You could also stay with that emotion and observe it and notice it and acknowledge it. If you're noticing that emotion, you could also notice, perhaps, that you simultaneously have the opposite of that emotion. You could notice them at the same time. Keep breathing softly, encouraging your breath, and watch and notice and feel emotions. And welcome them in. From emotions, you can start to notice your thoughts. You can begin to acknowledge and become aware of thoughts, images, reflections. You might notice the minutia of those thoughts, the individual images, the details. You could also notice and acknowledge the patterns of your thoughts. Are your thoughts quick or slow? Do they have texture and color? Keep breathing softly and deeply, inhales and exhales, and welcome in your thoughts. Take a soft breath in, and swallow, and release your throat. Start to focus on your well being and foster a sensation of well being somewhere in your body. You might feel it in your belly, you might feel it in your chest, you might feel it in your fingers and your forehead. You might experience this sensation as warmth or coolness or a color or shape. It might be emanating from your secure place. Keep breathing in and allow that sensation of fostering your own well being to expand all throughout your body. Now, gently, bit by bit, allow yourself to rest. Bit by bit, do less. Acknowledge the space that you created. Allow yourself to expand from the inside. Become aware of your awareness. Invite quiet and stillness. Start to notice the sensation of air on your skin. You might notice temperature or current. breeze, movement. Start to notice your other senses. You can swallow, notice taste. You can breathe and notice smell. Perhaps your eyes are open or you can see light filtering through your eyelids. If your eyes are open, you might notice color, texture, shape. You might notice the vibrations of sound coming in through your ears. Start to become more aware of your place in the space that you're in, the weight of your body, the movement of your breath. And start to move through your fingers and your toes and your legs and your arms. And shift your position of your body a little bit. Reflect on your practice. Notice if there's anything, there might be nothing, but notice if there is something that seemed significant to you, something that you'd like to keep with you or maybe bring to your next practice, something that you'd like to bring into your everyday life. Slowly start to bring yourself back up seated. Take your time doing that. You can wrap your fingers over the fronts of your knees and roll your shoulders a couple times. You can tilt your right ear toward your right shoulder and your left ear toward your left shoulder. And stretch your arms out to your sides, turn your palms forward, bring your elbows towards each other, stretch through your chest. Exhale and bring your arms across your upper chest, wrap your fingers around the sides of your shoulders and settle your shoulders down onto your back and tuck your chin. Give yourself a pat and offer yourself compassion and gratitude for sticking with your practice, for making space for listening and quiet, for trying. For giving yourself the consideration to practice. Take your hands back together in front of your chest and press your right hand into your left hand into your right hand. Bring your thumbs toward your sternum. Take a big soft inhale breath through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me. If you have any questions or you need anything, please contact us. We're at comebackyoga.org, and that's our website. You can contact our amazing staff, and you can learn more about Comeback Yoga. We offer free yoga and meditation classes to veterans and people who help veterans, friends and family, and those who serve veterans, staff and providers. And here on our YouTube channel, of course, we're happy to have anyone who finds our teachings useful and applicable. We are so happy, I am so happy to offer teaching to all of you, and I hope you'll come back again soon. You can come to any of our live stream classes. They're from every day from 8 to 9 in the morning. That's Mountain Time. Also Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, and also Monday through Thursday from 6 to 7 in the evening. I'm Susan, and hope to see you again soon. Take care.